I'm a committee clerk in the Scottish Parliament, which means I run a small team. I really enjoy it actually. You're sort of very much, in terms of Scottish life, you're very much at the centre of things. It can be very pressured at times. For instance, you can end up in a situation where you're having to produce committee reports, say overnight almost. I worked a standard Monday to Friday in the past, sort of 9 to 5, classic sort of job. I have 2 children, Anna who's 14 and Samuel who's 9. When Samuel was born, my partner and I decided at that point in time we basically wanted to share the care of the children. I moved from 5 days a week to 3. She works the 2 days a week that I'm not at work, so we look after the children between us through the working week. I suppose I wanted to be a dad that wasn't my dad, if I'm honest about it. By that I mean that when I was younger, certainly my dad went to work before I got up and he came home after I'd gone to bed. So, you know, I wouldn't see him through the week normally. And he also now, he sort of regrets that. He thinks that was probably a mistake on his part. So I didn't want to make the same mistake.
With the generation now that's coming through, they recognise that actually spending time with their father was really important to them. When fathers do spend more time with their children, it really does have a positive impact. It affects their development socially, emotionally and cognitively as well.
Now with the move towards shared parental leave, we're seeing men starting to think very seriously about actually there are some real advantages for them in taking that parental leave and in getting to know their kids better. And I think there is an increasing expectation from men that they will be allowed to take on flexible working and that won't adversely affect their career.
What is flexible working? So how I explain it is it's not traditional hours of 9 to 5 being in an office. So this might mean for an individual working compressed hours, or it might be things like job shares. We're careful not to assume that flexible working means just less hours.
A lot of the time when people speak to their colleagues, they go out of their way to say, yes, that's fine, I will say that to management, I will say I'm happy to cover that. Sometimes people aren't. Sometimes it's that people, when they had children, there wasn't this flexible working and they had to just cope with it. Sometimes people are just worried about what's going to happen and that they're going to end up with all of the work. If people communicate with their colleagues, if they're able to before they make the request, a lot of the time I speak to people who've discussed it with their colleagues and their colleagues have said, that's fine, I will handle that on a Thursday.
When we look at those who've made formal requests which have led to a change in contract, I think the last set of numbers I saw was over the last 2 years of 250 requests that were made, 248 were granted. And of those, a third were for men. As we're seeing more and more demand for 24/7 access to services, that means that actually we need to change the way our workplace operates. And a 9 to 5 environment just doesn't support the sort of customer demand that's driving out there. But it's really about encouraging it and about seeing that there is a business opportunity there for the organisation as well as for the employee.
I think one of the things that I didn't expect when I changed from full-time to part-time is that there'd be a sort of emotional reaction to that. Sometimes you can value yourself a little less. But I began to realise after time that actually in terms of what I deliver in the time I'm there, I'm real value for money, you know, I'm an asset. It's really helped in terms of my relationship with my partner because we have parallel worlds, we both work for some of the week, we're both at home for some of the week. I understand how hard that can be, particularly when the children are young, which I think a lot of men don't get. It goes back to me. I think I feel much more on top of my life, actually. I feel more connected to my children, I think, than I would have done otherwise. It feels good. I like the balance. I like being at home with my family, but when it gets to Monday morning, I still quite enjoy going to work. You know, I like the change. And by the end of Wednesday, I'm probably looking forward to coming home. So it's a nice balance like that for me. Part of me thinks, you know, 50 years from now, it might be like that for everyone.